this guy first off says, well, it was bound to happen, but it happened. So now let's listen.
Happen after the tragic death and murder of Tyree Nichols. This is where you head.
How many times do we have? Do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that. So don't write us and tell me what a racist I am.
So people can't say how much of a racist you are after you just said white people need to be beaten in order to prove a point and get a message across. Guys, I've made video upon video here talking about why everything has to be about race these days. And I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall because I don't know what else to do in order to change this culture. The second you use race as a basis of your argument, you lose all credibility with me. And Whoopi, what you just said is the lowest of the low. And you should be ashamed of yourself. To the family of Tyree Nichols, my heart truly goes out to you. He was brutally murdered. There's no question about it. And I just hope he's in heaven in paradise.
No, you don't.
I knew it was going to happen. After the tragic death and murder.
Wow. That was rough.
Yo, Sabby, hold up. I gotta do this full screen. Hang on. That was a reach.
Yeah.
That was a reach.
Yeah, that's not even really what she said, but
that was a reach. Look, it was more reach than the toothbrush. Remember the reach?
That was bad. That was pretty bad.
That was a reach. Oh, that was a stretch. Like, dear Lord. He had to do some serious yoga to stretch into that one.
And he also didn't play the part. He didn't play the piece right before she said that, which I think is important so that people have context.
Yeah, and I got that because there's context. And here's the funny part. And I just want to speak on this first. What would you say to that person who said, as soon as, why does it always have to go down to race? Like, what would you tell that person, Sabby?
Because when it comes to policing, I mean, this is a policing issue, right? Like, it's just, I don't, I mean, why do we even have to say this to him? Is he going to sit there and pretend by the way, and I don't know if you were going to show this, Jaybe, but by the way, for the people, some people have been saying that it was all Black police officers. That's actually not true. One of the officers, which was the one who tased him, was white. Yeah. But his image wasn't posted all over, social media. They kind of quietly, let him go. But because of public outcry and the pressure, I think that came from a lot of people on social media, then they were like, oh, we should probably also mention that this guy too was, it was sneaky the way they tried to hide that information.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Excuse me. And so there is some outrage from other people who consider themselves to be on the right. One of them being a Fox News host, Brian Kilmeade. That's why he's crying on the thumbnail. This is why he's in tears, because he's in a tizzy. He's in a tizzy right now, Sabby. Oh my gosh. Whoa. It's a mess. But let's show it. Let's see exactly what Brian Kilmeade is crying about. Because look what he said. He said, Whoopi Goldberg's grotesque response to a national tragedy. Do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? He's grotesque.
They're missing the comment before that one, which I think is important for people to hear. That's what bothers me. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Sab, did you have anything to add before I play? Because
I was just gonna say, I don't agree with Whoopi on a lot of things, but I feel like she is a prime target right now because of some of the statements that she made about the Holocaust. So she is a prime target. And I know there have been calls to remove her from The View because of those statements. So they're going after the easy target here. Now, anything she said, especially in reference to like race, they're really going to go hard at. But I think it's deceiving to not play the entire comment.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
Yeah. And so there's a good look at this comment. Whoopi says, by the way, Brian Kilmeade still doesn't get it.
Why
and
am I
by
not
the way, I understand some people may not have reading comprehension, but listening comprehension? Let's take a look, because you guys will understand. All right.
But, you know, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman, it is a problem in the police and the policing itself. You know, things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's something they can recognize. How many times do we need white people so beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. But, you know, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman, it is a problem in the police and the policing.
All right.
Yeah, if you put the link in the private chat, I'll play it because it's freezing a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably because it's playing fine on my side. I don't know why, but there you go.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll share it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a StreamYard, unfortunately, like I hope that's something that they fix because Zoom doesn't have that issue for people who are not aware. Like with Zoom, it's like if you're not plugged directly into the browser, like I've never had any issues with it. But with StreamYard, it is that way. So I never understood that. Let me go ahead and share it just so people, just in case. All right, guys. So you can hear the full, listen to what she says. I want you to hear the full comment. I think that is important.
But, you know, when will the brutality
You're muted.
finally lead to some police reform?
I think it's just the video, JB.
Maybe.
Let me try it again. Sometimes the Twitter videos are like this where you have to like refresh. Let me try playing it here first and then I'll go to full screen.
But, you know, when will the brutality?
Balls. Hold on. Let me make sure I don't have anything else open. Let me close. Okay. Yeah, my Wi-Fi connection is fine. I think it's just this video.
But, you know, when will the brutality?
But it was playing fine for me. But you guys saw that it was buffering.
Finally lead to some police reform?
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I think they don't want people to see this video.
From the ground up because clearly
that's weird. Okay.
Police reform from the ground up because
let me see.
Clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police and the policing itself. You know, things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that. So don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. But, when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Because clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police.
I'm sorry, guys.
So I think everybody got the gist of what she was saying
Okay.
for the most part. But basically, she was saying, what will it take, right? And the thing is that there was basically a misconstruing of what was said, because what they were basically saying was, she was saying that, oh, white people need to be beat in the streets. That's not what she said.
Nope.
And the fact that people are twisting her words and trying to peg her as racist, that's just disingenuous, and that's being kind. They are lying, really, because they knew exactly what she was saying. Sabby?
Yeah, I mean, they knew what she was saying, but again, she's going to be a target. Like I said, because she made those statements before about the Holocaust, and I know she apologized for those statements, but even though she apologized, still, people want her removed.
Yeah,
they want her gone.
They want her. She apologized?
Yeah, she apologized publicly on The View. She had to.
I wouldn't have.
Do you know what she said?
Because I didn't know she apologized. But here's my thing: it's not my fault that you couldn't understand exactly what I was coming from. It's not my fault that you misconstrued what I was said, because you took it completely out of context and you only listened to part of what I said. It's like, come on now.
Well, I want to show another reaction to it, because I think,
okay,
I hate that everybody's titling it this way, because this is the thing that's making people think this is what she said and take it out of context. Because even this video here, the title says, Whoopi Goldberg reacts to Tyree Nichols by asking, do white people need to be beat up? And that's the piece that people are focusing on, and they're not focusing on the full context, which I think is important. So I want to play this.
In the hospital before he died from his injuries. The panelists expressed their outrage and would look to solutions for police reform in response. When it came time for Whoopi to offer her thoughts, she said,
when will the brutality finally lead to some police reform from the ground up? Clearly, it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the policing itself. Seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. Do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything?
You're muted.
I'm sorry. That's the piece where they're missing the part where she said, it's almost like people have to see that reflection of their self in order for them to feel any type of urgency or pain or sympathy. And exactly. See, they're doing this on purpose, though, you guys. They're doing it on purpose, only showing that tail end part. And that's the piece that I think is important for people to have.
Yeah.
Kit.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Oh, hey. So, I think the problem is that it's being used against Black people whenever we express a need for equity and equality. And so this means to twist what Whoopi said is really kind of indicative of what has been going on as far as Black people is concerned. Even the law, like for instance, Ron DeSantis in my state has now disapproved the teaching of African American studies in colleges and universities in Florida, and also wanting to make CRT, critical race theory, illegal. When the funny part is, Black history is all up and through American history. It is interwoven and ingrained in American history. So to try to take out Black history, CRT, and African American studies means that you are literally cherry picking and whitewashing American history, pun intended, to the point where it's not even full American history anymore.
Well, the argument that he was trying to make is that he said we've increased Black history in the school system, but that they didn't want CRT. That's the defense that they're trying to make. But I think we all get what's really happening, like we all get what's really happening here. But I want to finish this piece.
I'm not
Sure.
suggesting that, so don't write us and tell me what a racist I am. I'm just asking, is that what people have to see in order to wake up and realize this affects us all?
Now,
Okay, what did she say? Don't write us, and don't write her or write The View and tell them how racist she is, because she knew what was coming, because that has already happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And people are still doing it anyway, JB.
But my problem is that why isn't The View backing her up if they knew exactly what she said? See, that's the problem. It's the fact that these corporations, by the way, ABC is owned by Disney, and they're going, oh, well, we need you to apologize because our audience is, they're mad. So what? They're wrong. If you say something bad about Nazis and a whole bunch of Nazis start writing you, and then they're up in arms, are you going to go ahead and go, well, the Nazis hate that you said something bad about them. I think you should apologize to Nazis. What? But the problem is that it's because of the profit motive. So Whoopi Goldberg has to come out and apologize. I'm sorry for saying something that was actually true and right for her to say. And that's the crazy part about it, is that now, and don't get me wrong, I disagree with Whoopi on a lot of things. I think she is, she has portrayed, as far as class-wise, the poor people, in my view, because she is more, in line with her upper class. And that's whatever, we can have that conversation. But we got to remember, Whoopi Goldberg is still a Black woman in America. And a dark-skinned Black woman at that. And an elderly dark-skinned woman. And she's seeing it through a different lens than even people in her class can see it. And the mere fact that The View is saying, we need you to apologize, that is also white supremacy on The View and ABC and Disney part. That's what I see.
They got to pay those advertisers, JB. They got to keep those advertisers, JB. See, again, it all goes back to the donors. Who are the advertisers for The View or for ABC? Right? Yeah. So that's what it all goes back to. Heartlands Media said she should not apologize.
Thank you.
And I do not like The View. I don't like The View.
Yeah, me neither.
But this is the thing. It's like, that's what they're thinking about. Like, well, our advertisers are going to have a problem with this. So you either need to do something about your statement or whatever. And I think, and you know what, the question that you asked where you said, why didn't the rest of the commentators for The View, why didn't they back Whoopi up? This has been a recurring issue with that show, where other previous hosts have complained about the same thing after they left the show, that they felt like there were certain times where they were not backed up or supported by the other commentators on that show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, Sunny Hostin, you're Black and Latina. You're an Afro-Latina, and you couldn't back Whoopi up? Mm-mm. You're a former prosecutor who knows about the criminal justice system, and you couldn't back her up? Oh, Sonny, you really are a cop, aren't you?
Sonny trying to keep that check.
Yeah, you really are a cop. Yeah. You through and through, just like Kamala, a cop. Sitting here, not even backing Whoopi up, saying, no, Whoopi should not apologize for that. You could have been like, no, she shouldn't apologize. No, say it with your whole chest, sis, and I'll back you up. But no, she didn't. She didn't. And then the white people who are sitting around that table, who consider themselves allies, did not, and even though they knew what Whoopi was saying, did not back her up. Now I'm going to say this again. I disagree with Whoopi on a lot of things. But one thing that she knows is the Black experience. And she was speaking as a Black woman in this country and through the Black experience. And to call her racist, number one, is completely stupid because race is a colonial construct, number one. Number two, the fact that calling a Black woman racist is crazy because the thing is that racism is really about power, the power dynamics, and the structural issues involving race. And Black people really do not have power within these structures. And so therefore, to call a Black person racist just doesn't exist. You can call her prejudiced, you can call her, a bigot, but racist, no. And so, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to show you this because this is what this gentleman said in reference to all of this. He said, the next generation of Black excellence, and we can talk about that in a second, JB, this whole Black excellence thing, will be filled with Black conservatives who escape leftist lies about oppression and victim mentality. We can talk about that as well. You can wear your crown with your head down. That's why many successful Black people listen to Candace Owens and not Whoopi. Candace Owens' audience is how many Black people listen to JB? How many Black people listen to Candace Owens? Even people I know that are Black and conservative or consider themselves to be conservative, even they don't rock with Candace. Even they can see through what Candace Owens is doing. So I think that's an exaggeration. And then two, this piece here where he says the next generation of Black excellence. Define what you mean by that, because we talked about this before. This
Yes.
phrase, Black excellence, that's a capitalist mindset.
Yes.
Capitalist mindset who escape leftist lies about oppression and victim mentality. That's not a left thing. Like the whole, they try to paint it that way when they mention oppression and stuff. The history books show you that, man. The data shows you that.
Xavier Durousseau, that's your name, Xavier Durousseau. Okay. Why are you whitewashing the oppression that Black people have dealt with in this country?
There you go.
Why are you trying to erase our history?
Kurt said slave owners feel hurt. Oh, Kurt. Oh, man.
Kurt went in at the top of the key, baby. Said the next generation of Black excellence. Number one, Black excellence is actually a capitalistic myth meant to appeal to Black capitalism in order to make Black people feel like that they have to be like the unfortunate, dare I say, the white owners of the system in order to succeed. They have to be basically like the land owners of, who built this country. Who stole this country. And so will be filled with Black conservatives who escape leftist lies. Number one, it's not a lie, because if you actually look at what these country has went through and what they have done, it's actually the truth. The thing is that you're just propaganda. I'm not going to say propaganda no more. You're lied to and manipulated by this country about oppression and victim mentality. When people talk about victim mentality, people like that usually are gained to blame the victim for the atrocities that are committed against them. So having a victim mentality, would you say to the 6 million Jewish people who suffer from the Holocaust and the fact that they talk about the Holocaust and have a Holocaust museum, would you say that's victim mentality by having all that?
Oh, that's a good question.
So if you're going to talk about victim mentality, let's talk about the millions of Jewish people who also continuously talk about the Holocaust because they don't want it to happen again. Is that victim mentality to you? Because if that's not victim mentality, then guess what? Us Black people talking about the atrocities that were committed against us within this continent, within these two continents, actually, it's not a victim mentality. In fact, it's actually stating the facts. He says you can't wear your crown with your head down. The thing is we just want equality and equity. We don't want to be a crown over anybody. We don't want to be kings or queens over anybody. We do call each other kings and queens within our community because we have been called and been spoken down to for our entire existence. So therefore, in order to bring ourselves up, then we call each other king or queen, like go off king, go off queen, or just like when we used to call each other man back in the day, because the slave owners and the people in the Jim Crow era used to look at Black men and call us boy. So instead, we started saying, what's up, man? Because guess what? We realized we're not going to take that BS anymore and being infantilized. So that's why many successful Black people listen to Candace Owens. Actually, they don't listen to Candace Owens. In fact, many successful Black people, the Black people that you talk to, actually listen to a lot of white people. They don't listen to Candace Owens. And even if they do listen to Candace Owens, it's only because she's trying to appeal to people who want to keep the system in the way it is.
Well, the gentleman who made that statement, I have to show the Twitter profile, because I think it's important to understand where he comes from. So he is a part of PragerU. So there you go. He's a part of PragerU. So that explains why he would say that about Candace Owens. So there you go.
Lord. I'm not going to waste my breath anymore on that person. But anyway, that's the thing.